Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm making this video on a total whim. I didn't write anything down. I feel inspired to get it out right now. I had to, this channel's a lot about gas problems. And curiosity killed the cat. I had to give it a try. This guy right here. The Sony A7IV. And I paired it with the Zeiss 35mm f2.8. Mostly because 35mm is a focal length that I enjoy, and it's small. Look at this. Look how small it is. Makes it very, very small. And I want to give you guys just a first impressions video. I've been playing with it for a couple weeks now. As you guys know, I've tried almost every camera under the sun, so I'm pretty good at these first impression type videos. And there are a few things that I like and a few things I don't like. The ones that are most top of my mind are things that I don't like. I'll tell you in a second, but I don't want to start off the bat being negative. And so let me talk about briefly why I picked this up and what got me interested. As you guys know, in my last video I shot that Nikon Z6 II for that wedding, and really happy with the way the images came out and all that kind of stuff. As I noted in that video, the ergonomics at the end actually ended up hurting my sprinklers are kicking on. Ended up hurting my hand. And the other thing that was a little unsettling was the autofocus. Even though it nailed the shot, you know, like right now the Sony has this ZV-1. Are those annoying? Hopefully you guys can ignore those. This ZV-1 has the box on my eye, and it follows me as soon as I move. Like, I know it's got my eye no matter what. Very confidence inspiring. With the Z6 Mark II, it would lock on the face, and as the subject would move, the box would drift off over here, and you weren't sure if it was in focus or not. You just kind of had to trust that it was. And, you know, when you're trying to get the shot, you don't have time to focus, recompose, like you're just hoping the box is, you know, just inaccurate, which it was. It did its thing, but it made you lack some confidence. So I'm like, hey, the ZV-1 does such a great job with autofocus tracking. The Canon's amazing. Let's try this, right? Now, the problem with the Canon was the lens selection. Sony does not have that problem. And that leads me to point number one that I like about Sony is they have a ton of lenses. From Zeiss options to G Master to just G lenses to Sigma to Tamron to everything. And you can get really good glass. And so that's really, really awesome. Number two, this camera has the flip screen. It's something else the Z6 II didn't have. So when I record videos like this, if I'm not using the ZV-1, that's really, really, really important. Let's see, number two, is number two? It has two card slots, but if you look here, the one slot is actually, I think, CF Express Type A or SD. I'm running two UHS-2 SD cards in here. I don't have a CF Express Type A. It doesn't force you into a CF Express card, Nikon, so it gives you the option. That's really, really cool as well. It has the dedicated, if you can see this right here, switch to go between movie and video. The Nikon had that too, but that was really cool. What else do I like about this? Autofocus tracking is fantastic, really. And it's 33 megapixels, which I don't, listen, I'm way past the megapixel thing. 20, 24, 42, whatever. It doesn't actually really matter. Yeah. Interestingly enough, on this camera, the button layout's actually pretty decent. It's a pro and a con, so I like the AF on button right there, and the joystick actually lands for me in a very nice spot. And so really it was just those things that I took as like a positive as to why I wanted to try out the A7 Mark IV. But this camera's not perfect, and I don't know how many people on YouTube are talking about this at scale. But let me point out a few things to you guys that are really interesting, and maybe it's just my camera. Now, I am upgraded to the latest firmware, so I've checked all that. And here's a few things I don't like so far. Number one, over the weekend, I have photos, by the way. I'll maybe put them out throughout this video or at the end. Over the weekend, I shot with sunglasses on. It was very, very bright. This EVF, by the way, it's not nearly as good as the Nikon's, does not treat well for polarized lenses. So you look through here with polarized lenses on, and the image just kind of has that polarized glasses thing where part of it's blacked out. You can't really see your image that great. Same with the rear screen. I had a hard time seeing it. Maybe it was just my glasses. I don't know, but I had a really hard time. That really bugged me. Second thing, I would take a photo, look at the back screen, review the image I just took, and then go back up. What I noticed, I had to double pump the shutter button a couple times to get it to go back into EVF mode. It didn't just seamlessly transition from me reviewing an image and going up to my eye. Like my Olympus cameras, the Fuji cameras I've had, Nikon, all of them, like have the eye sensor here will just say, psh, and boom, it transitions right back. Now maybe this is user error, but kind of weird. Third thing I don't like, they have these buttons up here, which is these dials, which are, you know, great. You have one in the front right here, and then you have two in the back. If anybody's ever held an Olympus camera, that's how you do dials. They overshoot the body, and so they're very like obvious and pronounced to grab. In my opinion, that's how you do dials. These ones, you have to kind of reach up into the body a little bit. It's a very intentional movement. It's not natural, in my opinion. Here, look, let me show you an example. This will focus. See AF on buttons right there? That sticks out, it's pronounced. This dial is recessed in from it. And so you have to kind of go around it with your thumb, and you have this, it's not a huge deal, but when you come from the Nikon and the Olympus before that, heck, even Fuji, it's noticeable. That's interesting. The other thing is, this front dial right here, you see, is up on like a 45-degree angle. So you're flat like this on the camera, and then you come down, it's like the Nikon one and even the Fuji ones, they're flat, they're 90 degrees to the body. These are 45. It's just not natural. The ergonomics aren't as bad as people say. Uh-oh. Old Beetle drove by. Okay, the ergonomics aren't as bad as people say, but Sony does some goofy things sometimes. So that bothered me. Here's something else that's a problem. I used my cameras, all my cameras, for live streaming. I'm on Teams calls and Zoom calls all day, so I set my cameras up. Usually it's a ZV-1, sometimes it's these cameras, and I stream with them. This camera, it was set, I think, for 1080p, 30 frames per second, so not even 4K. And the screen was out because I wanted to see my exposure as I was sitting on the tripod. It overheated after a 20-minute Zoom call or Teams call and shut down. Now, I've heard of overheating issues with this camera, but I was told it's only in 4K if you have the screen closed in hot conditions. Do I have a bad one? I don't know. I talked to a representative at B&H Photo. They said that this happens, the A7IV is known for overheating. And last but not least, complaint, I don't know why Canon and why Sony, who are obviously dominant in the market, are building cameras with this like plasticky build quality feeling stuff. The Nikons feel substantially nicer. Some of the nicer Fujis feel nicer in hand. The nicer Olympus cameras feel nicer in hand. I just feel like whatever this texture is they're putting on their cameras, both Canon and Sony, it just feels Fisher Price. I know there's a lot of people that like love to bash on Sony and hate on them. That's my feeling. So here's the deal with this A7IV. Extremely capable. Images come out looking great. Autofocus is stupendous, just like it was on the Canon. The best there is. There's not even competition. Canon and Sony dominate. Nikon, Fuji, Olympus, Panasonic, they're not even close. They're not even close. They're all serviceable, but they're not even close. And it's just, I don't know. For $2,400? Yeah. So I've shot some photos with it. I like the images getting out of them. Again, I'll say something else. Capture One has an express free version like they do for Nikon, like they do for Fuji, that you can edit images on. I've been using that. The images come out looking substantially better on Capture One, in my opinion, than they do in Lightroom. Both are fine. You can edit to taste. I'm not saying that it's not possible with either one. I'm just saying I can hit the auto button on Capture One and make some small adjustments from there, and I'm very happy with the way the images came out. I would say the straight-out camera JPEGs with this camera, not my favorite. So I do try to edit most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. Anyways, this is just a quick talking headpiece video on this A7 IV. Mixed feelings. Very capable, great camera. It's smaller than the Nikon. The lens is small, kind of like the 40. I don't know. They don't include a charger with the camera, so you have to charge over USB-C all the time. I don't know. Just, you guys hear that? I know it's the IBIS mechanism. I know what it is. Anybody else have the A7 IV? I know it gets a ton of like tremendous reviews online, so I'll probably get roasted for this, but I've been impressed in a lot of areas and disappointed in others. Between the EVF and the overheating and the wake up time from review to EVF has been interesting. So that's my first thoughts on the Sony A7 IV. Not sure if I'll keep it or not. We will see. We'll talk about it. See you in the next one, guys. Later.